It's a new year, new me, I'm vlogging every day of January, but I guess that means it's not a new me because I'm doing the exact same thing that I did in 2020. Oh God, that can't be good.
Good morning, everyone. We've reached a very fun stage in the toddler life. Hey, Flynn, did you go poo-poo?
Nope.
Because I smell poo-poo, and I see that your diaper is full of poo-poo.
No. No.
Yeah, so I know that you poo-pooed, so let's try again. Did you go poo-poo?
No.
You didn't? Then what's in your diaper? What's in there?
Oh
What's in your diaper? Is it poo-poo?
no. No.
Oh, it's not?
No.
You have poo-poo in your diaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Hello, everyone. So, I'm about to go change out that poo-poo. I took a shower today, which was lovely. My hair is drying just beautifully. It's a beautiful Sunday, and there's a lot to do in the house, just like normal human things like laundry and random work. First, I'm gonna clean up poo-poo, and then we'll go have some fun. We have decided to get out and get some fresh air. Get some fresh air. The park we usually go to, like those big open fields and stuff, the last couple times we've driven past it have been packed with people, and we don't want to be around other people because of everything going on in the world. We're trying to be as safe as possible, but we still want our kid to have some fresh air. So we found a big open field. So we're gonna let him run around in this big open field and play in dirt. Okay, so I have been making boba at home for a while, and I kind of tell you guys how I do it as I'm doing it, but I haven't like done a full on like, this is how I make my boba. So that's what this video is going to be. So you guys know how I make boba, and I know I'm probably doing it all wrong, but this is just how I do it. I'm new to this.
So don't come for me.
What I use is this. I got this for Corey for Christmas, and he made it for me. I was like, this is amazing. So this is milk tea blended cream. Got it on Amazon. It's really easy. On the back there's instructions how to make an iced frap, an iced drink, a shaken iced drink, or a hot drink. And I'm totally not doing it how they say to do it, but this is what I use. And then the type of boba pearls I'm using are these. Also from Amazon, black sugar flavor, but they actually don't really have any flavor at all. You kind of have to add it yourself. So it is easy, but it's kind of time consuming. It is a lot easier to just buy freaking boba, but this is how I do it. Also, I have this, but the taro flavor, like the purple one, and that one's really pretty. I made it yesterday with my niece and nephews. That one's really pretty, but I like the flavor of milk tea the best.
Okay girls, it's time to make boba. I'm recording this voiceover at 2 in the morning, so if it sounds creepy and sultry, you're welcome. So first I boil a bunch of water. You're supposed to boil like 10 cups to every cup of boba, but I just kind of do this much water, whatever that means. Then I let it get to a rolling boil, and then I put in my boba. I'm doing about a half a cup today. Once the boba floats to the top of the water, I put a lid on it and cook it at a medium heat for 3 minutes. While it's cooking, I make my simple syrup. You can find a recipe online, but I just do like a cup of water with a half a cup of sugar. Let that boil and let all the sugar dissolve. Then once my boba is done cooking for 3 minutes, I turn off the heat and let it kind of simmer with the lid on for 3 more minutes. Then I drain my boba and rinse it off under cold water for about 30 seconds, and then I dump it into my simple syrup and let it soak because this boba is kind of flavorless in my opinion, and so I want it to be a little bit sweeter. Then I make my tea. So I like my tea pretty bland. I don't like it super sweet. So I put a 1/3 cup of the powder in, then I put in 10 ounces of water, and I blend it in my magic bullet. This makes it super frothy, but it also makes it so that I don't have to use hot water for the powder to dissolve. The magic bullet kind of really helps all of the little granules dissolve so it's not crunchy, you know what I mean? So then I put my boba in first into my cup, and then I put in my ice cubes, and then I put in my tea. Then I put on my lid and my big boba straw, and then I sip it, and I'm like super cute drinking my boba. Like, oh my God. So that's how I make boba. Thank you for listening to my ASMR.
I just realized something really weird. So I love murder documentaries, like obsessed, like true crime documentaries are like my favorite thing in the world to watch. I'm obsessed with them. And my sister recently has been asking me about some of my favorites for her to watch. And she asked me if I'd watched some show just now. And I responded and was like, which murder documentary is that? And I looked it up. It was a scripted show about a murder. It was like a thriller murder show, whatever. And I was like, oh, no. I cannot watch scripted shows about murder, like scary things. They scare me too much. I can only watch the stuff that's about actual murders. That stuff doesn't scare me. And I thought about it, I was like, wait,
That makes no sense.
how come the fake stories that are made up, not true, about murderers, those scare me so bad I cannot watch those. Like, will give me nightmares for my entire life. Like, I cannot watch scary movies, cannot watch scary TV shows, but I can watch murder documentaries about actual murderers, actual horrible people who are real, and those don't scare me. What's wrong with me? Have you ever thought about that, love? Is that true for you? Then what is wrong with me? I don't know. Anyway, something's wrong with me. But I have my boba and it is delicious. So I'm a happy camper. Do you know what time it is? Advent! It's time for Advent. It's time for Advent. Open it up. Oh, what could it be? Okay, can you pull that out? What is it? No. Can you show the camera? Wow, they love that. Okay, now it's time for baby's turn. What's in there? What's in there? What is it?
A bulldozer.
A bulldozer? How cool!
It's fun.
Cool!
Oh.
That's pretty neat.
Oh,
Ooh, this is exciting. A unicorn, a Christmas
cool.
unicorn.
Whoa, you're exciting.
It is exciting. Christmas unicorn.
Whoa.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Take it.
You show it to Dad now? That's the first time he's been more excited about the craft than the toy.
Whoa! Are you
Usually he's like, this is trash. And so then I have to put one of his toys in there to make him
Read
excited.
it to you? He wants me to read him the instructions. Once upon a time was a unicorn.
It's a unicorn. He thinks it's a story.
A bucket.
Yes.
A
Okay, let's do it.
carrot.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna make a unicorn. Come through, rainbow unicorn, Santa realness. That is so cute. The boys are having too much fun though. I'm getting jealous, so I'm gonna stop doing my craft now that's done. And then go play with the boys. Oh, now we're rocking out.
Well, I couldn't figure that part out, but you did.
I know. Come back, Flynn. Hi, cutie bugs. So today was my friend Tia's birthday. If you guys don't know who Tia is, she's amazing. She's a mom of 5 little kids and she has cancer. She's a rock star. I'm so impressed with her. I didn't vlog much else today, but I did ask you a couple nights ago what you guys wanted me to talk about in these late night section of videos. I just went and reread those tweets from that night and a lot of people said tour stories, which is interesting because I did not know that would be something you guys would want to hear about. But it was funny that a lot of you said that because I had just found a journal from my last tour that I just went on. Now I have some crazy tour stories because I've toured for over 10 years and Rachel and I used to tour together. First I toured alone and I have crazy stories from that time. And then I toured with my sister and that was hilarious. Yeah, I just have tons of crazy stories. And then I started touring with Corey and a bunch of random people. Normally my craziest stories come from way back in the day, but this last bus tour I went on was actually crazy. I mean, we had wonderful times. Like here's these cute pictures of me and Flynn that we took. Like there's tons of like cute photos from it, but like it's clear that I was really worn down. Flynn was only like 8 months old or something like that. He's little. Touring with a baby was challenging. It wasn't as hard as touring pregnant. Like that was more painful and exhausting, but this was just like a really hard tour because of the circumstances. Like things just kept going wrong on that tour and it just didn't feel the same as other tours. Like it felt, I don't know, it felt lonely. I guess I remember feeling like kind of depressed on that tour. I don't know if it was postpartum or what, but I had a hard time on that tour. I had so many wonderful memories, and like when I just think about that tour, I think of how fun it was. But then when I read this, I'm like, oh wait, was it fun? Like it was. Like performing was fun and traveling is fun, but I am now remembering there were so many like drama things like behind the scenes, like with my team, and it was just hard. Like there was like a lot of mess ups that happen, like miscommunications. Like when you're on a tour, for example, when you're on a bus tour, you have hotel rooms, but they're not for like everyone to sleep in. It's like for people to shower in, and usually you have like 1 or 2 hotel rooms that everyone can shower in the morning. So there's a girls and a boys. What we do on my tour is we always have the 2 shower rooms, sometimes 3, and when we get to the location, I will get off the bus at like 3 or 4 in the morning and I'll go sleep in one of those rooms because I can't sleep on the bus. That's usually what we do, but for some reason this tour that like something happened, like it never worked out. Like the rooms would never be ready. There were times where like where they parked the bus was like a mile from the hotel. Normally it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but I had a baby and I had all of his stuff. So I had like his stroller, his suitcase, his diaper bag, my backpack, my child, all his food, like all this stuff. And I'd be alone because everyone would be at the theater like working. You know, I had a babysitter, but we had to make sure she had time off, but also I would want to go to the theater for sound check and then come back to see my baby, but I'd be like walking alone in the rain to the hotel room with my baby or alone it was like there was a lot of mess ups, like a lot of mistakes, like miscommunication and planning of things that were just going wrong and things that I felt like I couldn't complain about in my vlogs at the time because I felt like they sounded kind of diva-ish to be like, I had to walk a mile. I normally wouldn't have cared. It was that I had a baby and like I went above and beyond prior to that tour to call and make sure that like everything was set because I wanted him safe. I didn't like the idea of like the babysitter having to push him in the streets of like New Orleans or whatever city we were in that day alone in a town that I didn't know. Like it just made me feel really uncomfortable where I was used to having the bus be parked right outside the hotel, you know, just little things like that. So it was like things I didn't feel like I could complain about, but like they really stressed me out. Anyway, those are all stupid. The one main thing I wanted to talk about was this was the first tour where I had to cancel shows. That was so stressful, but the reason we had to cancel the New Orleans show was so wild. So first of all, this tour starts off, because I journal every tour I go on. So this tour starts off, I'm packing for the tour and I'm like, there's cute pictures, you know, my set, like me planning out what the set's gonna look like, the props that we're gonna need. Here's like where we went. This is like the tour, the cities we're going to. Flynn being cute on an airplane, playing with trash. You know, it starts off like fun and cute. Today was hectic. We worked nonstop, but it was so fun, stressful, but we did it. The show went really well in Greensboro, North Carolina. Day off in Philly, you know, like we're having fun in Philly, like everything's good, happy times. But then like you can tell just things get more and more stressful. I skipped a few days of journaling. I never did that, which means I had a bad couple of days. I failed at journaling yesterday in Alabama. Then I started saying, I miss Eric. I'm starting to feel overwhelmed and getting pretty homesick. I enjoy touring the most when my entire family is with me. This bus feels lonely because everyone goes to bed early, which is different from every other tour I've been on. Then this was me venting about how I had a really hard time. Our tour manager there was miscommunication and it was drama. And then I found out that Jessica, my sister-in-law, was in labor with Luke and I couldn't be there. I was so upset I had to miss the birth of little Luke. And then my mom was with us and she had to leave, obviously, because her grandson was being born. And I was, you know, I'm really happy for her that she got to be there, but I was jealous that I couldn't be there. And I was also sad because I was gonna miss my mom. I'm all these homesick, overwhelming, lonely feelings. Then I got to meet a sweet Make-A-Wish girl, which made me feel awful for feeling awful about my own problems. It's a really rough day. Performing definitely filled my heart and re-energized me. I'm grateful to have a job that I can do that for my heart. This is the interesting part. So we went to New Orleans. It was supposed to be the last show, or I think it was supposed to be the last show. So we're in Pensacola, Florida, and we're supposed to have our last show in New Orleans. And so we get to New Orleans. All of a sudden we hear that there's like a building that had like collapsed, like a hotel that was being built had collapsed, and and when we got there, we could see it from the RV park because we were staying in an RV park, which again was a weird miscommunication and problem in planning. But anyway, we're staying in not that there's anything wrong with RV parks. There's nothing wrong with RV parks. I've stayed in RV parks before, but that was a weird miscommunication issue. Anyway, so there's a building that we could see that had collapsed. I was like, whoa, look, there's a building over there that's collapsed. It looked crazy. And then I started seeing tweets from people saying like, hey, are you still performing? Because there's a building that collapsed like right next to your theater. And I was like, what? That's so weird. I haven't heard anything. And it turns out this building was extremely dangerous because it wasn't done collapsing. It was like half collapsed, but it could finish collapsing at any moment. But it was across the street from the theater that I was supposed to perform at. And so the city decided that on the day of my show, they were going to do like a demolition of the building. So we were told in Pensacola, Florida, that the show the next day in New Orleans had to be canceled. I was devastated, but we still had to go to New Orleans because that's where our flight out was from. So we went to New Orleans the next day and we just had to sit there all day waiting to go home, like for 2 days essentially. And the day of my show, everyone had to stay in the building they were in. So we were in our hotel, and on the news, we watched them try to explode this building and make it collapse. It didn't even work. So like you could feel the whole city just like went boom, and a huge explosion happened, and it was super scary and so crazy. And the building didn't even collapse. It just kind of like one little crane just kind of like boop. It was so weird. And then we couldn't do my show. We had to reschedule the show for months later. When we got there months later, the theater that I was supposed to perform at still was closed. So they moved us to another theater across the street. So like, but it was so weird because when we got there months later, that building was still like that. I wonder if it's still like that. I'm gonna actually look it up. Hold on a second. Oh my God, this is crazy. Okay, so 10 months after the New Orleans hotel collapse, a third body is recovered. This is in August of 2020. Look, okay, so this is the building. Isn't that crazy? It was so weird because like I've obviously had to cancel shows this year because of the pandemic, and I understand like I've almost had to cancel shows before because like I didn't catch my flight and our flight was canceled, like, you know, some other random circumstance, like stuff has happened that has nothing to do with me, but it like miscommunications with theaters and like also like weird stuff has happened to make shows get canceled. But the fact that I had to cancel a show because a building collapsed next door to the theater, it was so bizarre. So I don't know how it is now. I can't find any information on it right now, but maybe if anyone out there watching is in New Orleans, you can tell me. But it says as of October, they are hoping to have the demolition finished by January of this year. So maybe the demolition of the building is done now. I'm so curious what it's like now. Anyway, it's so funny. I think like basically the moral of the story, the thing I wanted to talk about right now was that tour life is hard. It's really hard. I know people out there probably watching are like, oh, wah, you get to tour the world, perform for a living, like shut up. But it is really hard. Like tour life, I love it. So I'm certainly not complaining. I love tour life, but it's really freaking hard. You're homesick, you're uncomfortable, and because you're sleeping on a bus or in random hotels, you're in new cities every day, but you don't get to explore and see the cool cities. You only get to see like the inside of the theater or the inside of a hotel or the inside of the bus. Your bus breaks down. I've had my buses break down multiple times. You get stuck in storms. I have flown through tornadoes. I have flown through many like lightning storms, like lightning bolts right by my window on the airplane. The bus has driven through really, really terrifying storms. We've been stranded because of weather issues before. Like, so that's just that like travel element of it. But on top of that, when you are on tour, you do not stop working, at least in my experience from what I've done, because I have a small team. The second you wake up until the second you fall asleep, you are working and you are on your feet. And it's a really hard job. I've taken a lot of people on tour. A lot of people have been like, I know I'd be good at this job. And it's hard. And they come on tour and they're like, this is not for me. It's a really hard, stressful job. I remember being on the bus with my cousin who tours with me, and he's incredible at his job. He's so good. Like, he's so good at touring and traveling. Like, I am obsessed with being with my cousin on tour. Anyway, it was his first bus tour, and I remember he was like excited about it, and I could tell he was like disappointed a little bit. He didn't say that. I just feel like I felt that from him because it was like kind of depressing. Things kept going wrong. Everything was extremely stressful.
stressful. Things were awkward with the team at some points, like, and it was just hard. There was nothing fun. It was just work, 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 and sleep, and work, 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 and sleep, and work, 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 and sleep. I remember having a conversation with him on the bus, and I said to him, we're gonna have moments on this where we feel like sad, depressed, lonely, upset, stressed. Like, this is an infuriating time at times. Like, this is very stressful and hard, but I promise you, in 6 months, you're gonna look back on this and go, that was the most fun I've ever had in my life, and you will forget all of the problems. And he was like, yeah, you know, and he never complained. Like, I you know, I don't want it to sound like he was like, this isn't fun. He wasn't at all. I could just like sense it. Like, the vibe on the bus was just kind of like sad and like weird. But what's crazy is that I said that, and I don't think I believed it. I think I was saying that to him to just try to like make him like try to have fun, or I don't know, I was just trying to cheer him up. But it was so true, because every tour I've been on, I look back on very fondly, and every tour is really stressful. And I remember this tour being so freaking fun. I remember experiencing so many fun things with Flynn. Some of my favorite memories with my cousin are on that bus and on that tour, like walking around New Orleans. Like, I have so many incredible memories with him. I remember loving being on stage and performing. I loved that show. I remember having a blast in New Orleans with him. I remember Eric coming to visit on tour and having so much fun with him, being in like Tennessee and like having the best time ever, eating incredible food in North Carolina. Like, I remember all these fun, awesome moments, like Walmart trips in the middle of the night, walking through drive-throughs in the middle of the night, like trying to ask for fast food, like, but they wouldn't let us go through in the bus, so we had to walk through, and we're like trying to make friends. Like, I have all these incredible fun memories, and I remember this tour being so fun. And reading this tonight, I was like, I did not have fun. Like, I mean, I did, clearly, because those are the memories that stick out in my mind, and those are the memories that I remember. When you read this, you would think, oh God, she had a horrible time on that trip. Like, she had fun performing, that's very clear. She had fun with her son, that's very clear. But the rest of it seemed like it was pretty hard. It's so true for tours, so I'm so glad that's true, because Andrew and I still all the time talk about how much fun it is to tour together and how we have such a blast together on tour. But it's kind of also a nice little lesson for, I'm sorry, this is not like a funny story, an interesting story, but it's a nice little lesson about life. I get a lot of messages from people saying like, I'm going through such a hard time in high school right now, or college is stressing me out, or I'm going through this or that, like these hard things. It's important to feel those things and express them and write them out or talk to a friend. It's also so important to remember that those things don't, like, they're not important. What's important is like the memories that you make and the good times that you have. Like, I know it's cheesy. It's like the cheesiest thing in the world I could possibly say right now, but like, it's so true. Like, the things I remember that stick out in my mind are the fun, wonderful moments. Like, just walking through a city, like next to my cousin, laughing at like a sign we saw in the window. Or like, there was a day where we were walking through a dollar store and there's this woman shouting in the dollar store the funniest stuff we'd ever heard. She was being so funny, and she was shouting at someone across the store, and they were shouting back and forth at each other, and everyone in the store was like laughing. Like, it was so funny, and we still talk about that. Like, we have so many fun memories, and in the moment I was so wrapped up in the stress and the hard things that like I didn't even realize really right in front of my eyes that like I was having so much fun, and these were incredible memories that I was going to keep for the rest of my life. Anyway, I know I just talked for way too long about something that's really cheesy and dumb, but like, I just think it's important to feel feelings if you're going through something hard, but just remind yourself that in 10 years from now, you might not even remember the hard thing you're going through right now. 6 months from now, you might not remember the hard things you're going through right now. You're going to remember whatever night recently you laughed so hard you cried with a friend, or like, those are the things you're going to remember, and those are the things you're going to appreciate. Sometimes you just need that reminder, and this was a nice reminder for me tonight. Like, my intention tonight was to go through and find a funny story, because people were asking for tour stories, but instead I was like, oh man, I really seem miserable in this tour, but I wasn't, because like, ever since I got home from that tour, I've remembered how fun it was and how great it was and how much I loved it and how much I miss it now. Am I making any sense? I feel like I should go to bed. It's 1 a.m. Oh my, it's 1:30 in the morning. Good Lord, I need to go to bed. Okay, I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.